Hello there. New data shows that almost half the social housing in London has a non-Brit head of household at the cost of 3.6 billion quid every year. If this is what a boon to the UK economy looks like, the figures for the rest of the country must look much worse. The Telegraph analysed data from the 2021 census and found that 48% of London's social housing is occupied by foreign heads of household, while the national average is just 19%. So I expect the woke lefties to be enraged, to scream scandal, and demand the rest of the country aim to increase the percentage of foreign-born heads of household in social housing in their areas to match London's 48%. When what they should be screeching is, why are the ordinary Brits not getting access to this social housing? Robert Jenrick, the Shadow Justice Secretary, responded to this research by saying, "This research shows how the huge costs of mass, low-skilled migration are often hidden from the public. When you lift up the bonnet, it's clear that the level and composition of immigration have been hugely economically harmful for decades." Now, Reuters did a fact check on this ONS figure in March this year, but it did not dispute the figure, but alluded to it being acceptable because census data shows 48% of lead tenants in London social housing are foreign-born. More than two-thirds of those lead tenants born outside the UK hold a British passport. Therefore, they are foreign-born, the article says, as opposed to being foreigners. So that's okay then, isn't it? I'm just missing the connection between people being allowed into the UK because they will benefit the economy and the need to take up social housing on such a scale. And another consideration here is that the Telegraph report says that the figures also show some 35% of working-age foreign-born heads of households in London's social housing are either unemployed or economically inactive, despite living in one of the UK's most prosperous regions. 35% of those foreign-born heads of London's social housing are unemployed or economically inactive. Isn't that a big indicator that something is very wrong here? Oh, and if you like what we do on this channel, please do become a member for a monthly cost of less than a pint of beer in a London pub. Press the join button or follow the link in the descriptions box below on your desktop computer. Now, I will point out that this social housing situation did not just jump into being the day Labour took office last year. No, Robert Jenrick's Tory party had used 14 years of their administration to get us here in the first place. Especially in the Boris Johnson years when the government almost secretly were handing out visas like confetti, as well as doing diddly squat to sort out the illegal English Channel migrant problem. Now, London is hugely prosperous, and according to ONS data, output per hour worked in London is 26% greater than the UK average. So why does it need so many unemployed and economically inactive people in its social housing stock? Strange, don't you think? And here we have Sadiq Khan with his grand plan to build houses on the outskirts of London, on the green belt, to put even more housing on, including social housing, to service the needs of London. I wonder who will end up in those social houses, given these figures dug up by the Telegraph. And social housing is, as it's meant to be, cheaper than buying or renting on the open market. And the Telegraph figures point to this being the equivalent of an £11,610 discount per household per year. A total in London of 7.7 billion quid, where 3.6 billion goes to social housing, where the lead householder is foreign born. And everyone who comes here has the ECHR-inspired right to a family life, even if they commit heinous crimes. But not those who were born here and, like Lucy Connolly, use hurty words in anger on social media, then take them down and apologise. No right to be given time out to see her daughter for her, it seems. No right to a family life on that basis. And the Migration Advisory Committee, which is an independent, non-statutory, non-time limited, non-departmental public body that advises the government on migration issues, i.e. a quango, has warned Keir Starmer that his government proposals to increase the earnings threshold to bring non-UK family into the country up from 29,000 quid a year to 38,700 would, in their view, most likely conflict with those rights to a family life. Now, it's not just the rubber boats that are the problem with illegal immigration. They are still getting here by hiding in vehicles, so the border checks are still failing on land. Take the Express article from yesterday. A bus driver taking British schoolchildren home from a trip to France was shocked to discover 2 illegal migrants hitching a ride under their wheel arches after hearing banging noises. It's believed that these 2 newcomers climbed into the wheel arch void space while the coach was parked in Calais, and the 2 were eventually taken into custody, meaning add them to the now 15,000 that have been added to the nice hotel list by boat. And the UK is a huge part of the magnetic draw of Europe for the illegals to chance their arm. And that magnetic draw has led to the increased pressure being placed on countries like Spain, as illegals do all they can to cross from North Africa to the Spanish-owned Balearic Islands. And Anthony Costa, spokesperson for the Balearic government, has warned that the island's resources are being stretched beyond capacity, reports the Express. While Spain's Interior Ministry said they recorded 17,000 irregular boat arrivals between January and May this year. Now, on a completely different topic, there have been incidents over the last couple of days in Los Angeles, USA, and Ballymena, Northern Ireland. In LA, where Trump is enforcing immigration laws, the woke left establishment is calling the demonstrators mostly peaceful demonstrators whose concerns are legitimate. While in Ballymena, where they are trying to enforce mass immigration, the protesters are labelled as racist thugs with no legitimate concerns. Well, at least our Western woke establishments are being consistent in their approach to these matters, aren't they? Finally, please like, subscribe and comment below, and a big shout out to our Patreon supporters, and thank you for watching.